We are at the Antica Corte Pallavicino, and this is a relay where it's an historical building, and where there are the one Michelin star restaurant, the Osteria del Maiale, which is like a more informal place, and 11 rooms. And here, this is also a particular place because it's where we age the culatelli. The Antica Corte was historically a custom house, so because we are very close to the River Po, which is just 200, 300 meters from here. And this was in the past really a strategic point because the Marquis Pallavicino, it was a family who used to control this area. And they could control the trade, especially the trade of salt that they stocked in the basement. And through the River Po, they could ship the salt also through Venice and Switzerland. Then this became their house from the 16th century, and they stay here for different centuries. Then they abandoned the castle, and it became a farmhouse. So there were different families that used to rented the castle, and one of these family was the Spigaroli family, who are now the owner of the Antica Corte Pallavicina. And when they bought the castle in 1990, it took 20 years to restore the entire building. So now there is the ancient part of the castle, and that is the original part, and then they built up the osteria.
I'm making pasta with eggs and flour. If you have to depend on me for a meal, you'd starve.
On the outsides, there's a little breach, but it's okay. Okay, catch. Nice. When you hold it like so, like on your wrist, because if you hold like that, it can break. So when you're holding it on your arm, 1 sec. Okay. Let go. Okay. Yep, like so you don't put too much pressure on it, you know? If you roll it out, it helps to make the little balls. If you start with it rolled out into the cylinder like so, it just helps to keep everything more symmetrical.
Dopo aver preparato questo qua, avere quindi la sfoglia pronta davanti.
Yeah, we have the pasta ready. After you roll out the filling, you want to fold it in half, make a slight crease, just enough so you can have a guide when we start to when we put the filling. We only stay within the square because we're going to end up folding it over and have to cover it with the other side.
Quindi adesso posso cominciare a mettere il ripieno in questa maniera qua. Quindi faccio prima due linee qua, in modo che dopo posso andare.
This is 80% Parmigiano Reggiano from our producer in Urzano, staged seasoned 24 months. 80% Parmigiano.
20% pane grattugiato.
And 20% grated breadcrumbs. 20% grated breadcrumbs.
Che è stato stemperato con un po' di acqua calda per renderlo.
Yeah, and we also added a little hot water into it to dilute a little the strong flavor of the Parmigiano, otherwise it's a little too strong, and to help bring everything together nicely.
E poi si aggiungono le uova, che in questo caso sono fondamentali per tenere compatto il ripieno.
And also an egg to help even hold the filling together. So when you have all the fillings placed,
Posso capovolgere la pasta.
We're going to fold it over. And these are our breadcrumbs that are used from our day-old bread that was made with our grains and our flour that we milled, so it's just a never-ending cycle of recycling and reusing. Yeah, the classic Italian pasta stamp to make the agnolini with the manica. The handle, usually always for these stamps, is made in wood, and with the brass fitting on the end to cut and shape the pasta. Inside there's a little spring to help make the form when you press down. In the beginning, if you pat down a little with your hands, it helps to just define where the balls are, just so by eye it's easier to see.
Quindi iniziamo a tagliare. Restano quindi gli anolini. Questo è un anolino.
annolini in brodo. So these annolini in broth. It's chicken broth made from our chickens from the farm with some of our vegetables as well. In the method to do this, you just want to put a little pressure, push down and turn. Push down and turn. All right? I'm going to add a little flour so they don't stick. You always have to check if you need flour when you're rolling the pasta. Otherwise, you get to the point of no return and it's too late. Always have to move it, check. Always keep an eye on it.
Looks like a snail.
Pipe straight up and down.
Oh,
Straight up and down. Apply a little pressure. Like
is
so.
that 2 fingers?
Like so. Like so. Like so. Squeeze this. And squeeze just this, not the top. Otherwise, it's too hard.
Not the.
No, we'll add
here.
some more.
Okay. Like
Keep
that.
it down more. Down, down, down. Okay, good.
You won't let go.
Just keep it nice and nice straight line. Nice and straight line. Good. Nice. A little closer. If you need to use your finger to unstick it, it's totally fine.
Lots of cold cuts. Wow, what a meal. Great dish of ravioli, freshly made.
This is also a particular place because of the fact that we are close to the River Po, and there is a particular climate that where it's possible to age the culatelli. In fact, the Spigaroli family, they used to produce the salumi and especially the culatello. And in the basement, downstairs the corte, you can find more than 5,000 pieces of culatelli. The production is made by hand and in a natural way. And our major production is the culatello di Zibello DOP, which is made with a white pig, but we also produce the culatello made with a black pig. The culatello di Zibello DOP is possible to produce it just in this area, so close to the River Po. And because the fog and humidity are really important for the aging of the culatello. Parmigiano Reggiano is a middle fat cheese. That means that they used to they milk the cow in the evening, and they put the milk inside the tank, and the milk stay there all night long, so that the fat can goes up. While they milk also the cow in the morning, and they put the milk in the morning directly in the tank. They mix the milk of the morning with the one of the evening, but without the fat. They start to heat the temperature, and when it reaches 60 degrees, they add the calf rennet. And the calf rennet, it's really important because it helps to, so that the liquid, it becomes solid and it forms the cheese. After that, they cut the cheese at the beginning gently by hand with the tool that we call spino. And after that, they cut the cheese in half with a machine, and it's possible to obtain 2 wheels, and each of them weighs 50 kilos. They stress the name Parmigiano Reggiano. There's written the month and year of production, and there is the number of the cheese factory. After that, there is the second step where they put the cheese inside the steel wheels, and they stay here for 2 days. And then they put the wheels inside saturated water, so that means water full of salt, and they will stay there around 20-25 days. Then there is the aging process. So the wheels stay in these buildings, and they do a minimum of 1 year, so 12 months of aging. And after that, they do a check quality. So they use a steel hammer, and just by the sound of the cheese, they can understand if it's like a good quality cheese or not. And if it's like a top quality cheese, they put the stamp of the consortium, and that is the Parmigiano Reggiano DOP. And if they, by doing this check, they understand that the cheese is not so good, then they do a mark outside the crust.
This is one of the most wonderful experiences because we're out in the country, we're in the city, we're all over. And this is unbelievable. And I'm talking to Francesco Brasili, and he's from the National Tourist Office of Italy in New York. And we're good friends, been for a long time. Tell us about this trip.
This year, the Ministry of Culture in Italy has sort of declared that Italy is celebrating the tradition of food making and wine making of Italy. It seems like a given, but there's a lot that people should know about, where the food really comes from, the tradition, and also how, the original food tastes like. And so as for the tourism part of things, we wanted to sort of pair that with the destinations and the places where those things are produced, and these things are produced. And that's why we felt there's no better place, honestly, to start this sort of tour of Italy by coming to Emilia-Romagna. Emilia-Romagna is really the cradle of our Italian cuisine.
And tell us about the different cities or towns that we visited.
Yes, we had a chance, of course, to start with Bologna, which is the main, city in Emilia-Romagna. And Bologna, it's the perfect gateway to learn more about the whole region. It's an ancient city, has a university, and itself is sort of the place where a lot of dishes that we enjoy, even in the United States, the Italian, come from. The tortellini come from there. And there's overall sort of the feelings of, that the people from Bologna put into preparing this food and preparing this meal, which I think it's a perfect sort of welcoming to anybody that comes to visit for the first time Emilia-Romagna and Bologna. Of course, the name of Modena brings to the mind a lot of things, and of course, when it talks about culinary experience, the balsamic vinegar, which makes it which makes it really extraordinary. And if you probably recall, we went to this beautiful acetaia, where sort of the tradition of this family and the way they were making this so patiently making this product that, yes, when you see on the shelves it's so expensive, but when you understand what does entail to have this little production, and really when you taste it, how much that enhances the flavor of anything that you eat, it really kind of makes sense that it exists indeed. And then of course Modena, as you've seen, it's also the place where the Ferrari come from, and so you like this like weird sort of association of like the flavors of the food and the cuisine from the place, and also the beauty of some of the best, arguably the best cars ever produced between Ferrari, Maserati, etc.
Luxury cars, unbelievable.
Yes.
But then don't forget the wines.
Of course.
And I'll drink to that.
Places that we visited in Modena, first and foremost, it's this nice sparkling, and it's a perfect complement to a lot of the cold cuts that we had and some of the cheese that we have and we are going to have in the next few years.
And the making of Parmesan cheese is unbelievable.
Yes, I cannot agree more. The thing that's also interesting, I think, from a tourist standpoint, is the fact that the secret recipe or the traditional way of doing things has not changed since they start doing it. And it's been sort of really eye-opening to see how young, you've seen it, like the people that we talked to, they were very young and still really passionate about what they're doing. And it makes me very hopeful that these things will keep on going and being sort of this wonderful gift that Emilia-Romagna has for Italy, for the rest of the world.
Well, I think it's incredible. It was one of the chefs today, he was 15 years old. I mean, when I was 15, I was thinking of just running around instead of a profession, and it's such a very serious profession. It's just amazing. I was just shocked that he was 15.
Yes, but there's a lot you have to learn, and there's a lot of discipline that you sort of have to be able to absorb in order to be an effective chef, a great chef, and then eventually move on in the rest of the world and bring the cuisine all around. The restaurant that we had the meal today, they do everything as you saw. They start from the bread, they do make the cold cuts, they do their own pasta.
The pasta.
And although we made it, it still tasted good. So
we're on a farm today, and what happens is that you're using natural products, so you have the pure taste of whatever that is, and and the milk or the that makes the cheese, or you've got cows laying around grazing. It's just an incredible thing, especially if someone from the city, because you don't see this. Kids in the city, they think milk comes from a box.
It's very important to understand that this product that we have, the chance to taste it, they're so important culturally and for the industry and also for the, what we call the heritage of the region. They have been preserved in the way they are made. So none of them can, even if they try to make it, they will be disqualified. They will not be able to label whatever they make as Parmigiano cheese or sculatello or prosciutto, because in order to do that, it has to be done in a specific way, has to be done without the use of any of those pesticide or modified ingredient. And so this is very important because it's because as you might have tasted, the taste of that, believe it or not, is still the same as it was back then. In order to do it, there's only one way to do it, and that's the way they do it.
The traditional way.
Yes.
You know, and that's what Italy's about, you know. And don't forget the gelato. Oh my God. There's no gelato in the States like the gelato here. There's something very special about the way they prepare it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here, of course, every regions what they have started doing is start sort of like creating also some of this taste of gelato, like these different flavors that sort of resemble some of the highlights. In Modena, you can try the prosciutto balsamico ice.
Oh yes.
Yeah, of course, like it's a novelty. It's not like to have a pint of it, but I think it just gives you a sense how like they try to sort of also refresh some of this sort of tradition, bring it forward. It's really interesting.
Italy is fantastic.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy to be here and to share this with you
You're more than welcome.
and everyone who's come. And there's a lot of noise around us because everybody's so excited.
Yes, yeah. How can you not be excited?
Exactly.
It's an amazing place, and we're very glad, that some people actually come in. These are Italians, because that's the thing. Emilia-Romagna, it's very popular with Italians, so you should tell the foreigner that this is really a good place because the Italian themselves choose Emilia-Romagna for the vacation.
And they also learn so much about the country and the tradition and the culture, which is so important. That's what travel is so important, to be at the destination and to experience this. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I hope you enjoy it, and
Cheers.
cheers. Have a good one.
Jon Haggins, the GlobeTrotter, is a travel book unto itself. It's like no other travel book in the world. When I think of travel, I think of friends around the world. Travel introduces culture, cuisine, and history. If you ever have the desire to see the world, the colorful photos will take you there. You'll visit Thailand, Vietnam, Brazil, Portugal, Sweden, and many more. Don't forget the aromatic recipes that will whet your appetite and allow you to dream. When I think of food, I think of home. The cover of Jon Haggins, the GlobeTrotter is whimsical. It gets you in the mood for traveling. Remember, my world is your world. So get up, get out, and travel!
At the front of the theater, which is a typical 19th century, the end of 19th century theater, named after Pavarotti after he died. But you know that Pavarotti started in 1961, not in Modena, but in Reggio Emilia. So when you will be visiting Reggio Emilia, you will admire another theater, the same time as this theater, end of 19th century, but he started there in 1961. Yeah, the competition, always the competition between Modenesi and Reggiani. The Cathedral of San Gimignano. San Gimignano was first a beacon and then a bishop of Modena. We are talking about 350 in the darkest barbarian period, okay? Some years later, Petronio was born, okay? So this dark period. And Gimignano became famous for having conjured up to get lots of fog, so the Huns, the barbarian, didn't spot the town, and they left, and it was safe. So, and also San Gimignano was an exorcist. He was an exorcist. There are many stories around this cathedral and exorcism. San Gimignano went to heal the daughter of the Byzantine emperor. And we can see this in the other door. There are several doors. We are standing in front of the prince's door, where amazing enough, there's an ox of whale, which is up there beside the statue of San Gimignano. Do you see it is a bit round? It is held by on the edicola. You see, it's a ox. Maybe you should go a bit backward.
Umbrella decorations. Ah, beautiful. Love it. The Garudi farm produces balsamic vinegar and wines.
Welcome to our winery and balsamic production. Okay, so we are one of the family business winery and balsamic production of this area, one of the oldest one. My great father started production in 1920, and then my grandfather and his brother, and then I'm the first generation of the family. We started in 1920 the production of the wine, Lambrusco di Sorbara wine, which is the typical grapes and wine of this area. And then in 1975 we started production of the traditional balsamic vinegar of Modena. The name of the company is Garuti, which is the surname, the family name of this family. Okay, so here we are in the typical area where it's usual to produce the traditional balsamic of Modena. Okay, the aged balsamic of Modena under the roof, because it's very important to have warm temperature during the summer and cold temperature during the winter, because the balsamic needs this big change of temperature between the season for the bacterial activity, which is very important to age the product. Balsamic of Modena can be produced with every variety of Lambrusco grapes produced in the Modena area only, and Trebbiano grapes, okay, which is the typical white grapes of this area. For the balsamic, the production starts during the harvest, okay, where we take the juice of the grapes, okay, and we boil everything for about 10-12 hours, because we need to concentrate the natural sugar that we have inside the grapes. The concentration at the end of the process must be 36-38%, more or less, okay? And then we put everything inside a big container to stabilize the product until the winter, where we can work here inside the barrels. Here the production of the balsamic is in a battery, okay? Every battery must have minimum 5 barrels, okay? In our case we have 6 barrels because we have 5 barrels plus the biggest one that you can see there. At the beginning, okay, we take away 2 liters of balsamic from every small barrels. Okay, we take away 2 liters only from the top, and we leave the rest inside, because inside we have the mother, the concentration of the bacteria that we need to age the aceto. That's why we take away 2 liters only from the top. Okay, and then we start to move the balsamic barrel by barrel, from the bigger one to the smaller one. When we start the production of the balsamic in a new battery, okay, before to start to take away the aceto, the balsamic, we need to wait at least 12 years, okay? Otherwise, we don't get the certification of the consortium. Because in the consortium, we can find 2 different varieties of balsamic, okay? There is the affinato, which is the balsamic with the typical characteristic of an aceto of minimum 12 years. Okay, and then there is the extra vecchio, which is the typical balsamic of minimum 25 years. Okay, the only way to classify the balsamic is with the chemical and physical analysis and taste the balsamic, because every year when we move the aceto in every barrel, okay, we mix the aceto, because we never take away all the aceto. Okay. The balsamic that you can find in the supermarket is the balsamic of Modena, which is an IGP product. Okay? In this case, we talk about the traditional balsamic of Modena, okay? Where the production is very, very limited. So we are here in the production area of the Lambrusco di Sorbara grapes, okay? Which is the typical Lambrusco of this area, because in Modena we have different variety of Lambrusco wine, okay? Here we have the Lambrusco di Sorbar DOP, and then there is the Lambrusco Salamino di Santa Croce, which is another variety of Lambrusco typical of the Carpi village, okay? And then we have the Lambrusco Grasparosso di Castelvetro, which is the typical variety of the Modena Hills, okay? And then we have also the Lambrusco di Modena DOP, which is not a variety of grapes, but it's a wine that can be a blend of these three different varieties of Lambrusco that we have in Modena. So here we have about 30 hectares of vineyards. We have 28 hectares of Lambrusco di Sorbara and Lambrusco Salamino di Santa Croce, and 2 hectares of Pignoletto, which is the typical white grapes of this area and Bologna Hills. Here is where we move the wine after the first fermentation and the first filtration of the wine, okay? Here we can control the temperature, okay, and the pressure, because the Lambrusco can be sparkling, it's a sparkling wine, and we have to control also the pressure of the wine. And after 15 days, okay, we can start with the second fermentation of the wine. We put the temperature between 16 and 18 degrees. We put inside the wine the selection of the yeast, and then the fermentation starts again. This fermentation is not so fast like the first one, because we control the temperature, we keep the temperature between 16 and 18 degrees. Is for about 20-30 days. Depends which kind of wine we want to produce. For example, for a sweet wine where we need more sugar but less alcohol, the fermentation will be shorter. For a dry wine where we need more alcohol and less sugar, will be longer.
I can't begin to tell you what it's like visiting Emilia-Romagna. It's a food capital. It's where everything is so fresh and organic. You know, you feel like you've died and gone to heaven. I love it. And Italy is a very special destination. You have to come and experience for yourself. Remember, my world is your world. So get up, get out, and travel.